and we had number 17 Georgia Tech going on the road at Wake Forest, and this was a crazy upset alert game. In conference, we
Mhm.
talk about in conference on the road. Same story here, where Georgia Tech really struggled in Wake Forest and ended up barely getting it done in overtime, 30-29. Jack.
This was insane. I can't believe the Yellow Jackets pulled this one out. I mean, it started out
Right.
3-0. They were up, and then Wake Forest 20 unanswered points. It's just in dominant fashion too. And then
Right.
two quick touchdowns by Georgia Tech tied the game, and then with another field goal, and
Mm-hmm.
Wake Forest missed a field goal, so they couldn't go up by 6, so it had to go to overtime. Um,
And,
and then in overtime, Georgia Tech scored on 4 plays, and then Wake Forest scored on 1 play, but they decided to go for 2, which is an interesting call. I don't think I would have done that. I mean, I like the call just to go for the win and not go for the second overtime. But in hindsight,
right.
obviously, you're going to say just go for the extra point there. But man, they should have had this game.
Right. Yeah. I think they're also worried too as well because in that second overtime they would have had to start first, so then Georgia Tech could go back out and know exactly what they needed to do. Where they're like, this is the period where we know exactly what we need to do. We know we needed to score a touchdown. We did. Where they're like, let's win it right here. We don't want to put it to chance and then end up having Georgia Tech score more, or like we don't get the 2-pointer, whatever it is. Because I think their mindset was like Georgia Tech is the better team, and so they're thinking eventually they're gonna drown us out, which is kind of like a lot of games where it's like teams are kind of close for a little bit, but eventually the better team kind of shows. Maybe they were kind of worried about that, where like they're like, if we keep striking out this game, like it's just eventually they're going to pull away. We got to figure it out and we got to get it right here. So I understand, but I feel like it's kind of that Ravens philosophy where it's like you go for the 2 and then you don't get it, and then the game's just over. Where it's like that's a real bummer, and especially against a team like Georgia Tech, that would have been a huge win. And I
Right.
know you're at home, but like I feel like you don't chance it. I feel like you say, let's go, let's kick this extra point, let's put our offense back out there and score, and then see what our defense could do. I just feel like you prolong it and give yourself more chances to win because if you put it all on that play, it's like I get it, it's huge if you get that, but it's like if you don't, then everything was for nothing. Where it's like at least prolong it. I understand, but at the same time, I feel like you probably just go for the one, Jack.
Yeah, I agree. And like we have the privilege of hindsight for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
I don't mind that call that much. I mean, you want to win that game, but you scored 1 play. That's such a morale booster. We saw that in the Tennessee game against Mississippi State, where they just run out and scored on 1 play as well. Like it's just so huge. So I don't mind getting the ball back out there and just going for the 1 point.
Mhm.
And I think with the way they controlled that game, I think they could have won it for sure.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if they get that extra point, then they go back out on offense. It's like their defense would get a lot of rest, and as you said, one play
Yeah.
touchdown. Where it's like you think about the motivation that that defense would have, and then for them to come back out, where it's like I feel I get it. I do understand it. That's the thing where it's like I get it, and
Yeah.
I get wanting to end the game there. And like you said, like you don't want to end up losing later because you think like Georgia Tech's probably the better team, where they're probably like we're lucky to even be in this situation. We want the win right now. But
Right.
it's just really tricky to take that to chance. And as you said, hindsight, where it's like they'd be getting so much praise if they got it, where they're only kind of
Yeah.
getting this uh,
Hmm.
talking down because it's like, well, they didn't, right? And then it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's how you lost. It's like, well, then if they win, now it's celebrated. Where it's like that's kind of how it is. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's just really tough because I mean that was as good of a chance as you're gonna get against a solid team like Georgia Tech, where it's like I get it, I do get it, but it's like it's obviously it's hindsight because we're like, well, you didn't win, so you probably shouldn't have done that. Where it's like that, it's easy for that to say that, but they still played really well. Like they got a lot to hang their hat on, and I mean
Yeah.
Haynes King on their defense, he kind of did more so whatever he wanted. I mean, 243 in the touchdown, and then 106 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Like he was spectacular. But I mean, Claiborne, like he was really solid. 2 touchdowns, 119. Like I know they lost, but like Wake Forest did really a great job, and this does suck because it was very winnable. And now
Yeah.
they got their second loss, but I mean, they really probably should have won this one, Jack.
Yeah, they could have for sure. And that's why I don't mind that Georgia Tech has kind of been hovering over that 17 and 18 spot. in the AP
Right,
poll. We kind of had them before the week, like top 15, which I think they deserved. But I don't mind if you
right.
drop them a few because this was definitely they barely squeaked a win out against a definitely an inferior opponent. So yeah.
Right. And it kind of sucks because it's like all the teams that are beating Clemson, where it's like LSU beat Clemson, so they get all that credit, but then it's like, oh, Clemson looks bad, but then they end up staying up there. And then they, of course, ended up losing to Ole Miss last week, which we'll get into. And then you had Georgia Tech. Then they beat Clemson, and it was a very tough battle where they won by a field goal. But then it's like everyone's beating Clemson, where it's like it's almost not even impressive anymore. Which maybe we jumped the gun too high on LSU and Georgia Tech. I still think they're good teams, but I mean we saw that LSU jumped all the way to 3, and then they end up losing. Where it's like maybe they weren't actually the number 3 team. It was just kind of inflated because of how good we thought Clemson was. Same thing when Georgia Tech beat them, where it's like Clemson just keeps going down, and we need to stop looking at it as like that is like, and it's still great to win that game, but it's not as a great of a quality win because they're like, well, maybe Clemson's not great anymore, and we do think Georgia Tech's pretty good, but maybe they're not top 15 at least right now, especially this game against Wake Forest where they shouldn't really have problems. But I mean, it's a road game in the ACC. It's a tricky environment. I do get that, but it's like maybe we like kind of overinflate teams when they beat a team that we think's good that may actually not be that great, Jack.
Right, I agree. And it's interesting, like you could say like Georgia Tech really kind of that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Clemson, and that's what made them
Mhm.
lose the Syracuse game that bad.
Right. Like
That's
a
why they
domino
kind of
effect. Yeah.
right, and that's why they kind of didn't respect the Clemson win for Georgia Tech that much as opposed to LSU. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind them hovering around that 20 to 17 spot, especially that
Right.
close to the game. So yeah.